Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and it is that time of the month for the Shades of Gray free block of the month program from Quilting Confections. And this time it is a traditional block called the wedding ring. To make this 10.5-inch block, you are going to need one 2.5-inch blue square. This is the center. Then you're going to need 4 light squares, again at 2.5 inches, and 12 dark 2.5-inch squares. And then you're going to need 4 of each of the light and the dark, and these are at 3.5-inch squares. And with these, you are going to make half square triangles. And to make the half square triangles, you need to draw a line from corner to corner, and matching up the right seams, you're going to sew on each side of that line. So you're going to have a 1/4 inch on that side and a 1/4 inch on that side. Then cut right on that line, so you will have 2 pieces, and those pieces are going to open up and give you 2 half square triangles. You will need to square up these squares to 2.5 inches, and there's 2 ways you can do them. If you're using the Eleanor Burns square up ruler, you will place the seam that you sewed on the 2.5-inch line. So you're not matching up the cut edge, you're matching up the sewing line, and you will be able to trim it off. And when you trim them off, you're able to cut off the little corners. And when you open it and press it, it is going to be a 2.5-inch square. Another way to square it up is after you have pressed it open. You're going to take a square ruler with a 45-degree angle, and matching that 45-degree line onto the block, you're able to trim off one edge first. And make sure that you're not under the 2.5-inch mark on this edge. And you're able to trim off the first edge. Then turn the block over and lining up this edge that you've already trimmed to the 2.5-inch mark. And keeping the 45-degree line on that seam, you're able to trim the rest of it off. Then you'll have a perfect 2.5-inch block, and the ears have also been cut off this way. So whatever method you choose, you will need to take all of your 8 half square triangles and square them up to 2.5 inches. So the components are all done, and we get to start. The center is the 2.5-inch blue. The 2.5-inch dark are going to go on the outside. The 2.5-inch half square triangles, the dark is also going to point to the inside. You can already see the ring that is forming. So now we need to do the next row. The half square triangles are going to go in the corner, and you're going to have a dark, a light, and a dark all the way around. To sew the block together, you're just going to sew each row individual. Sew one row together, and then sew the next, and sew all the rows together so that you will have 5 rows. The individual rows are put together. Now we need to press the rows so that they will nestle up against each row. And if we turn it over, it's going to be easier to see. Now the half square triangles are going to really dictate which way you want to press it, because they like to be pressed flat. So you press these flat, and those are going to go flat. And as long as you make sure your seams are going opposing, then you are going to be able to match them together. And when I press the seams in this way, looking at the entire back, I like to use a little travel iron because it's just easier to get into the small pieces. Now I'm able to take this to the machine and sew each of the rows together, and I know each of these rows are going to nestle together. The rows are all sewn together, and if you turn the block upside down, you'll be able to press it with the little iron right here, and then you can take it to the iron and give it a good press on the right side. I like to have the 2 center seams coming in and the 2 outside seams going out. And your wedding ring block is done. Now let's remake this block with different size squares. So let's make each block 8.5 inches. So this is going to be a 1 block quilt. Now what's really great about taking 1 block and blowing it up so that the 1 block is the quilt is the blocks are so big that if you have a very large print, it is not going to get cut up as much. So you're going to be able to use very large prints when you make this type of a quilt. The other thing great about it is you can use high contrast fabrics. In this entire block, I'm going to make with only 2 fabrics. So you are going to need 12 8.5-inch squares of one color and 5 8.5-inch squares of the other color to go along with the 8.5-inch half square triangles. Now to put them together, it's very simple. We're going to start with the darkest one in the center. And the wedding ring is going to be the pink. So the pink is going to come into the corners. Next, we need to finish the ring with the pink. For the corners, the blacks are going to touch. Now the solid blacks are going to go opposite to the solid pinks. Next, we just need to fill in the blanks with the rest of the pink. So now we have one very large wedding ring. And just as we did the smaller block, sew your rows together and then sew those together, pressing the same way. So from this to this, same block, same construction, same everything, except it's a whole lot bigger. Now this is a great pattern to use those very large prints that you have in your stash. And if you have a meter of your one fabric and a meter of the other, you're going to be able to make this very large pink one, and it can be done quick. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.